So, how can a head of remote actually resolve some friction? Again, the job really should belong to somebody because if it's nobody's job, things fall through the cracks. There are black holes that nobody ever owns because it's not really part of their job description because nobody's really ever thought them through. So it's a very cross collaborative type of job. You're going to be working managers and leaders and trainers and HR and the transformation people, senior executives, and often the regular employees themselves as well. But this is why somebody should own it. So this is an example. I worked for a company for 16 years and I changed jobs and I stayed internally. I went from hybrid to remote. When I went from hybrid to remote, I lost access to the building I had worked in for 16 years. But that was a problem because I was actually in the middle of doing an innovation challenge that was sponsored by the company across Canada. And I ended up being the finalist. So I had to negotiate my own access to the building because my boss couldn't grant it, his boss couldn't grant it. It actually became very awkward because it really highlighted the power that they didn't have. And I ended up having to work my own network and get the innovation team really to grant me the access and clear that. But in the meantime, like that really, this was above and beyond my job, right? It wasn't part of my job. It was something that I was really doing that was extra for the company. It was all work. It's just how that work was perceived. And so you sit back and say, okay, is the work that you're doing for the innovation actually valuable? Do you feel like you belong because you don't actually have access to the building anymore? Am I damaging relationships by pursuing work that's not specifically my job description, but is still valuable work? And is that actually going to help me get to where I need to be? Or is that actually going to hamper my instincts and my initiative to actually do it again? So, had a remote really could have assessed, for one, when somebody moves from access levels, like if you're going from hybrid or remote, depending on what the company supports, do you need to lose access to that building? Is that really something that's all employees should have access to? They should be assigned to one particular building or two. Because in my case, I was actually bouncing between two different headquarters. How should they be able to interact with the company based on their history and their inclination? And when I ran into a problem, for example, I could have gone to that head of the remote, and instead of actually having to do all of the work to get my approvals myself, I could have handed that off to somebody who already had that network built and had processes and procedures and who had the ability to really put it in place so that when somebody else came across the same sort of issue, it had already been assessed and incorporated into the knowledge base of the company, right? So it was a missed opportunity to really build for the future. And that's how I had a remote, somebody dedicated to handling that specific employee experience could really help. So I hope that clarifies. I do have other examples. Grade 9 day. Grade 9 day. How do you bring your kid to work when work is not a place? But this is a societal shift, right? Because the schools haven't changed that. So, as an employer, how do you support that initiative for parents and still have some place to actually do something specific with the kids? So, that's the next story that I'm going to tell you.